Hey guys, Saiyan here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to jump into the team building guide for the physical Gogeta EZA that will be coming out very soon on Global, releasing alongside the same time as the Int Vegito one. I've already done the team building guide for that one. I'm probably going to put that one up first and this one up second. So hopefully you've checked that one out already, and now you are here for the guide for the physical Gogeta stage. So just like the Vegito one, it is a typical 10 stage EZA. You get 3 stones per stage, so you get 30 stones in total, despite the fact that it is only 10 stages. You get all the medals you need to EZA them, 5 Kais to get them up to SA25, and a bunch of physical orbs. And then just like the Vegito one, there is a mission to beat stage 7, which gives you 3 stones, so you'll get 33 stones in total, which obviously means 66 stones in total for doing both of the Extreme Z battles. So just like the Vegito one and any other LR Extreme Z battle, legendary power is the link that you want to get active in order to do extra damage. So these LR EZAs can actually be done with like a full team of TURs. They just take longer because if you have the legendary power link active, you do more damage. So of course the goal is to bring as many LRs as possible that are good for the event, so that they can link up, get legendary power, and do a ton of damage. So the special category is Fused Fighters. So when it comes to LR EZAs, the special category is the units that are going to take the least damage. So legendary power is your damage output, but if you just bring a bunch of LRs that aren't on the specialized category, you will notice that they take significantly more damage than they do in other events. So that's why you want to try and build the team around a specific category, which for this EZA is Fused Fighters. So Fused Fighters is a decent size category because of course this is the category introduced by the LR Super Saiyan 4s, which incorporates all Fusion Dance and Potara and some other fused units as well. So the thing about this is, whilst there is only technically one main leader, there is only one unit in the game that has Fused Fighters in their leader skill. However, because it combines Fusion and Potara, you are obviously able to use those categories as well, if you are missing the LR Super Saiyan 4s to use as a leader. So as always with my team building guides, we're going to go over my top picks and my honourable mentions for your team that you could potentially bring into the event. If there are any units that you think I miss out or that I should have talked more about, let me know down below in the comment section. And of course, if you do find the guide helpful at all, do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So as we've already covered, the LR Super Saiyan 4s are going to straight up be the best unit to bring as the leader. They have the Fused Fighters leader skill. They also have the Kamehameha extra 30%. So any units that are on both categories, of course, get the 200% leader skill and are going to be able to dish out extra damage. So basically the easiest way to do this EZA is going to be with the LR Super Saiyan 4s. But even if you don't have them, you of course can bring them as a friend. Because say, for example, you're just running a Fusion leader and a whole team of Fusion units. All of those units are on Fused Fighter, so you can bring an LR Super Saiyan 4 friend. So LR Super Saiyan 4s are going to be the absolute go-to friend, regardless of how you choose to build your team. So not much we need to say about these guys. They guard on turn 1. They're super powerful. They can transform on turn 4, which if you get to turn 4, probably going to be the last turn. You can just transform into Gogeta and then finish them off. And so that is going to be a pretty straightforward way to end the event. So next up, we're going to talk about some other options. So we have the LR Gods. Now the LR Gods are obviously on Fused Fighter because they fuse in their active skill. So technically that means you can bring them as a leader if you've only pulled these guys but not the Super Saiyan 4s, and then you can just build your team of units that are either movie heroes or Power Beyond Super Saiyan units who are Fused Fighters, which there are a ton of, because every single fusion that is a Super Saiyan 3 or a Super Saiyan 4 or a Super Saiyan Blue or is a movie hero is in this category. So you can quite easily build a team with these guys as the leader and then just run the LR Super Saiyan 4s as a friend, or run these guys as a friend if you're running units that are on their category and Kamehameha for the 200% leader skill. So these guys you can run as well. Same thing as the Super Saiyan 4s, they can transform on turn 4 and potentially do a whole load of extra damage and just finish the fight on that turn. Okay, so we also have the Tech LR Goku and Vegeta that will fuse into Gogeta. So not only are they on Movie Heroes, but obviously they are on Fused Fighter, so they fit on either of the Anniversary LR's leader skill. Or you can use them as a leader if you're missing the two Anniversary LRs, because of course one of their leader skills is Time Limit, which is basically fusion with a couple of other like units factored in. After Dragon Ball Super essentially quote unquote retconned the Potara fusion, any Vegito Blue units are in Time Limit because the Potara now has a time limit. Same with Kefla units as well. So these guys can be used as a lead, and you'll still be able to run a full team of fused fighter units. And then, of course, you can fuse on turn 4, which will give you the Scouter effect. But as we've already said, turn 4, you're usually pretty close to the end of the event by then. So their fusion is pretty much going to be ended up used as like a finisher more so than anything. But these guys are a very solid option either for being on the team, regardless of which leader you're running, or running as a substitute lead if you do not have either of the Anniversary LRs. So next up we have the 5-year LR, Str Gogeta. Not the best unit. These guys have fallen off a little bit, him and the Vegito. But he does lead Final Trump Card or Fusion, which Fusion, obviously, they're all fused fighters anyway. And then Final Trump Card has a lot of the Potara fusions, who will be on Fused Fighter as well. So this guy has a very good leader skill, and is a much older unit. So even if you got really unlucky with this anniversary, if you have this guy, whilst he's not the best unit, he's got a perfect leader skill, he has type advantage, you can float him off in slot 3 where he'll have a 50% chance to dodge, so he's not likely to ruin your runs. And then if you do get to turn 4, he does transform into Blue Gogeta, and he can still put out a pretty reasonable amount of damage, to be completely fair to him. So he can be a great stand-in leader if you do not have a better option. Then, of course, we have these guys, Battle of Wits or Majin Buu Saga. Again, Battle of Wits has a lot of fusions on it. Majin Buu Saga has, like, the Vegitos. So these guys can be used as a sub-leader as well. They also have type advantage. They fit perfectly on the team, regardless of any kind of lead you're running. As long as they will fit under that leader skill, of course. They are probably a must-bring on the team, I guess, if you have them. Because they have damage reduction, they got type advantage. Like, they're just a great unit to bring for this EZA. And they can act as a leader as well if you need them to. So, next up we have the actual LR themselves that are getting the EZA. Now, obviously, at first, they're not going to be that great. But if you're lacking any other options, they do have a fusion leader skill. And then as you start to get the medals, as you get part way up through the stages, I forget which stage it is exactly, but the second stage of the actual EZA, so after you've gotten the first 25 medals, step 2 is what updates their leader skill. So whilst the card themselves will still not be particularly strong, if you have to use them as a leader because you don't have anyone else, once you get to stage 2 of their Extreme Z Awakening, their leader skill goes up to 3 key and 180% across the board. So they will obviously then power up the team a little bit by getting that little bit of an awakening. But I probably wouldn't recommend using them unless you desperately have to use them as the leader. But, you know, they can do okay in this event if they need to. And, like, you can get the heal with them, but it's only on turn 6, which, unless you have a much weaker team, you're probably not going to be getting to that turn anyway. So, probably an honourable mention more so than a top pick. But if you desperately need a lead, then obviously these guys can work. So, then we have our boys SuperSeventeen. I had to mention both of the Super-17s because why not? They're on Fused Fighter because of the way they decided that category works. They have the link. So this guy, obviously, bit of a weird design for the tech one. But he is the LR, so obviously he's more preferable because you could potentially get Legendary Power active. But the AGL one, potentially more useful for this one. Older unit, not a summonable LR, so potentially you have more copies in this one anyway. And then it's worth mentioning that AndroidThirteen is on Fused Fighters as well, and he's one of the best link partners for Super-17. So even though he's not an LR, you're not going to be getting Legendary Power active, this rotation can actually work really well in this EZA. So definitely food for thought there if you want to use the Super 17s. Probably not the most optimal, but definitely worth an honourable mention. So, next up we have Str Vegito Blue. Now, obviously he doesn't have his EZA on Global, but he has type advantage. He's a fused fighter. He's got decent links. He builds up his stats with his super attack, like the 12 key stacks his defense, or the 18 key just does a bit more damage. So for this particular EZA, because he has type advantage, he can be a very good option. I guess if you really are stuck for a leader, he is a super class 3 key and 70%. So you could use him and then obviously bring the LR Super Saiyan 4s as a friend, and you could probably still get through depending on how the rest of your box is looking if you have no other possible leader. But the thing is, a lot of fused fighters and a lot of characters we're going to look at have leader skills that you probably could use that are probably better than this, but that is an option if you need it. So he could be good on the team regardless of who's leading it, as long as he's under their leader skill, solely for the fact that he has type advantage, and he's another LR to activate legendary power with the other ones. So next up we have Janembou. We have a lot of the heroes and like fusions units in there because they are very good. Once Janembou gets a dodge, he then guards for the rest of the turn. He stacks defense, so it's pretty much impossible for him to take damage once he gets that first guard off. The only times he can be unlucky is if the first attack is a super and he doesn't dodge it. But once he's dodged that first attack, even a super, because of his guard, he's not going to be taking huge amounts of damage, so he's very, very good. Then we have the Kulesa. He's got type advantage, he stacks defense, he buffs extreme class fusion and wicked bloodline units, so if you are running units like Janembou, he gives him a little bit of a buff, so he can be very useful. The fusion units, they do all have their own distinct links, like this guy obviously has Frieza Clan links, but most of them have Shattering the Limit and Fused Fire, so if nothing else, they are going to link together a little bit and at least enable you to get super attacks. So then we have the Vegeta, who's from the Heroes banner. He infinitely stacks defense. He's got good Saiyan links depending on how you've built the rest of the team. So he can be really, really good. Not a huge amount to say about him. He's not going to get a lot of his buffs because there's not a lot of status effects you can put on during an EZA. But he can be a solid pick to fill a slot on the team. Then we have Balto, who is obviously the fusion of Goku and Bardock. With his EZA, he's actually really solid. He's a really strong nuking style unit. So if you combine him with a unit like Wits, who we're also going to mention, this guy can actually do crazy attack stats. Now, he's not an LR, so he's not going to be doing the most possible damage in this event. But he's got type advantage. He can get up to having really good stats. So he's a very solid pick for the team as well. Then we have, of course, Wits. He's a double orb changer. So this Barlot doesn't need a specific type of orbs, although he does also create STR orbs. The best way this can work is if Wits changes all the tech and in orbs into physical, and then Barlot changes all the physical orbs into STR. And then this guy's going to be going off. I'm pretty sure in the Rainbow Level 10 Link showcase I did for him after his EZA, I managed to get him up to like 10 million attack or something crazy. So, and then Wits himself is good. When you've picked up enough orbs, not only is he giving himself solid stats, but he provides a buff to the Fusion or Realm of Gods allies, and he can also dodge. So he's just a very, very good unit for the team in general. Then we have Super Saiyan 4 Vegito. He can counter super attacks. He provides a buff to crossover units, so if you are running any of these fusions, he's giving them support. He also buffs Giant 8 power, so if you're running any of the Super Saiyan 4 Gogetas or the LR Super Saiyan 4s themselves, he's also giving them a buff, so he's definitely a solid unit. And as I say, he can counter supers, so that can be very handy as well. Then we have Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. He has built-in dodge. He can do decent damage if you're getting his 11 key super. He can just be pretty general, good unit overall. An honourable mention more so than a top pick for sure, but definitely worth considering. Then we have Physical Vegito Blue. He can get off a bunch of supers, fire off a bunch of counters after that, do a bunch of extra damage. He's got good links, so he can be solid in the event as well. Then we have the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. I picked the tech one over the int one because you can't have same name units, and obviously the int one has type disadvantage. This guy after his EZA is both very good offensively and defensively, as well as having a 70% chance to counter super attacks. So he can be very, very good. Then we have Super Saiyan 3 Teen Gotenks from the Heroes banner. This guy's insane. Like, he's a top tier EZA TUR. Really, really good. Has good links because he has Fierce Battle, he has Kamehameha, he's on both of the Anniversary LR's 200% leader skill, so he's very, very good. We also have the heroes Xenogo Tanks, who's very good. Not as good, but pretty good. He has Shattering the Limit instead of Fierce Battle, but he's on the 200% leader skill as well because he has Kamehameha. He gets a guaranteed additional super if there's another Dragon Ball Heroes ally. And because he's Xenogo Tanks, they have different names. So even though they don't have Fierce Battle, and they are missing a couple of other links, these two can work really nicely as a rotation together. So there are a lot of heroes and fusion units on here. But those banners were obviously great buffs to fused fighters as an overall category. So if we go back to the overview of the category, Oob, obviously he's getting his Easy A on JP soon, doesn't have it on Global. He could be useful for the free heal. Vegito also, I did mention the Str Gogeta. Vegito functions basically the same way. He has Final Trump Card or Patara, so you can use that to make a full leader skill of fused fighters. The only reason I picked out Gogeta is because he has type advantage, so he's obviously makes a bit more sense to run him. Goten and Trunks are actually pretty good after their Easy A. They just don't link up super well with a lot of units on the team. And then when it comes to TURs, obviously you could use AGL Super Vegito, although he's not going to tank super attacks very well. Candy Vegito, I guess if he gets some dodges in, at least he doesn't have type disadvantage in this one. Again, we mentioned the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, he has type disadvantage. This Xeno Gohanks is really good, but he also has type disadvantage, so I didn't really mention any of the int units. But, I mean, Gogeta can dodge, Pandel's pretty good after her Easy A, Gotenks and Ghost, if you get enough Rainbow Orbs, not only can he heal you, but he's got pretty decent defense, so they could be worthwhile honorable mentions. These guys, I guess this STR Gotenks, after his Easy A, he's okay. But none of these other units really stand out. STR Kefla, I guess, obviously could be pretty good because she has type advantage. And then I did mention him in the Vegito one, but Physical Piccolo has the Scouter effect, which can be pretty good. He's not on the leader skills of like the Anniversary LRs, apart from obviously the Super Saiyan 4s because he's on Fused Fire, but he's not on the 200% lead. But he could be pretty useful to bring on the team literally just to have the Scouter effect. If you're running double LR Super Saiyan 4s, he's still getting a 170 lead from them, which is more than enough because he raises defense on Super. So he could be very good. If you're finding the last couple of stages difficult because you keep getting one shot by supers because the wrong unit keeps getting hit with it, then obviously he could be very, very good for making sure that that does not happen. So there you go. Those are my top picks and honorable mentions for fused fighter units for the Physical Gogeta LR Extreme Z battle. Let me know what you guys think down below. As I said at the beginning, if you think there's any units I missed out that I should have talked about more, let me know in the comments. And let me know what your team build is going to look like for this Extreme Z battle. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.